Hi, so this is Rob Kenbeck. I'm going to give you a quick introduction of um, the new features in the update one. So I assume you have seen around the demo system. I assume you have seen the existing video I posted on YouTube that has the original demo in there um, in the System platform 2017. So a couple of things here. I found the OISIM configuration as it comes out of the box. There are some things here that you would want to change. You want to set this to simulation mode, so you want to check this off. And in the PLC, you definitely want to go. This is default 200 milliseconds, I believe. You want to set this to 1000, otherwise everything is way too fast. Percentage change interval, I think it's at 100%. You don't want to change signals 100%, so basically just 2%. You could do go to sawtooth, which basically introduces some kind of, instead of random, it just doesn't make a lot of mess then. And then items per message 5000 is fine. We're not exceeding that anyway. Okay. So then we go to the runtime demo. So what's new really in 2017 update 1? The first part you will see is the title bar. So there are two title bars in the system. One that ships default with the default cap file, and this is the extended one. You will find this one in the demo. It's called title bar EX. That has a couple of additional features. It has the drop shadow here to make it look more attractive. It also has different menus as the default title bar, and it can do profile switching. So I'm running the multi-layout system here, so I can actually switch between screen profiles. They're only in a new system. I removed the tablet layout because basically what I did is I got more real estate. For example, if playback is turned on, okay. When playback is turned on, the user interface will actually color yellow, right? So the title bar will go yellow. So I could save that space up there. I also, these alarm severity icons disappeared. So I have in here, what I do is nothing in these panes can stretch. Nothing here can stretch. This cannot stretch. So I have what I call stretch panes. And when you so I'm right now on a 1440p 2K resolution, a little bit higher than 2K. So if you go smaller, so I went from 1080p to this particular view, right? This is the smallest I can get, and I can close this off then. So basically, this would work on the tablet, right? So this is a very low resolution. This is probably something like 1280 by 1040 right here. And then we go back to full screen. So this is 2K, which works fine, and it goes all the way up to 4K. So this particular layout will cover all the way from tablets to 4K, which is pretty awesome. So that makes things a lot easier and less layouts to maintain. There's an iPhone one in here that I have not fixed yet, so probably by the release I will have a better phone app than what's in there now. What's in there now is basically unusable, so I wouldn't demo that one. That's the phone. Wonderware Desktop Dual is the dual system, the dual monitor system, which works out of the box. Of course, you can use that one if you would want to use dual monitors. So that will come up, and you can basically navigate through these systems using two screens. So if you have two 1080p screens, you can use the dual in here. I don't know what just happened. You became unhappy, I guess. All right, let me exit this one. So this is a beta build. There are still bugs, and I'm going to post this on the beta site for you to review. So the multi-layout then also, we talked about the title bar a little bit. In runtime, there are a couple of new features as well. For example, the alarm aggregation icons, the one that you saw coming up there that was not filled out when I didn't pick the model, is basically shelved. So if there are shelved alarms, that one will light up and show you shelved alarms. There are now basically alarm controls pre-configured in the system that you can use. So basically how that works is this one is the runtime, and the other one has an H in it, so it's basically the normal one. What I like to do with this one is, okay, so now everything is acknowledged. By default, there are a lot more alarms in these adorners. You can switch those off in runtime, so the navigation adorners. So I can say, I don't want to see return to normal, and I don't want to see act. So right now there is no alarm, right? So if there's an alarm coming up in the system, a new one, then things will start flashing in the navigation. And the idea is that the operator then drills down based on the color that's coming up. Like now one came up, and there is a bug that mixing doesn't show the alarms. But basically where it lights up here is where the alarm originates from. So where it's brighter in color, that's where it's coming from. So this will be a demo you could do to customers. So basically here I have R33, I select that, and then basically you have unacknowledged alarms that you could look at the alarm system and acknowledge them. Okay. Then the second one here is the historical alarms. So there is a history configuration, that's the H, right? So you're already you didn't have that in the previous system, but you have that now, and that will fetch you all the historical alarms. And the next one would be of course the apps. The trend app is part of this configuration too. So if you click on full trend client up here, you basically get a full trend client with everything switched on. So tag browser, you can save, nothing is disabled, and it's basically showing any trend configuration. There's also one pre-configured, and this is where the trend files come in that you will find. You will see on the site in the download section a trend folder, and this trend folder. So those trend folders that you find on the site, they actually have trend files in it for mixing 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you place that on the C drive, that folder with the files, then automatically this gets linked up. If you now click on the full trend client here on the right, you will basically see a full trend client coming with everything disabled and with the pens pre-configured. I will show in another video for configuration purposes how you configure that. It's very easy. There's an app configurator for the historical trend, EX. So also for this app, there are two versions. There's one that ships with a product that doesn't do this, and there is one that basically we will provide that will do this. Okay, so then the next part that is new is the presenter application. So the presenter application can show you certain views. So when you start up the system, basically everything is an alarm. So if you look at the alarm state list, as I said here, I set the asset demos, I set it to shut down, because basically you wouldn't, this generates a lot of alarms. So if you set this to running, you just get a lot of alarms that don't really do anything to the system. You could storage where the storage tanks are. There are a bunch of temperature alarms. You could switch those off too. You could put a startup so it's silenced. In that case, you just have these couple of alarms going on, and it's easier to demonstrate to customers what that does. Now, what did I just do? I did the presenter app. So the presenter app has the capability, you see this overview icon here? When you click on that, it pulls up all the graphics from where I am. All the level 1, 0, 2, and 3, and 4 graphics. So it just pulled up all the graphics that are in here, and it lets me browse through them. They are live. If you want to go to those graphics, all I have to do is click on them, and it will take me to the navigation of that particular graphic. It can also do it in process situations. So if you're in here in storage, and I click on it, then these are all the graphics in storage. So in this case, it brought all the 23 graphics up from the storage tanks. If I do it at this level, it's going to show me the other 7. Now, this is one application, and the other one was the list that I showed you, the alarm list. The other one is more interesting. It's basically dynamically creating HMI based on content type. So you will see on the storage tanks, these cards, tank status and energy consumption. On the template, you will find those. They're set to a certain content type. Then there is a presenter app that I call up when I click on this that looks for that particular content type. So it will find 24 tanks with that status. As you can see, this graphic completely, this whole graphic is created manually, right? So the disadvantage of creating a manual graphic, it resizes, but it becomes kind of unreadable when it becomes smaller. Yeah, you can pan and zoom, but that's not that handy. So the presenter app actually takes this, and you can determine what type of padding you have in between these graphics, setting it up in the presenter app. And what I showed you before was a list view. The next one I'm going to show you is a wrap view. So the wrap view actually takes one of these cards and then just plots them. All right, so the advantage of this is, like if this is a 1080p monitor, I have 5 rows. And I can scroll down and get the other storage tank. All these are live, right? So this is live data, live cards, but nobody created this graphic. The system built it. So the system built this graphic automatically based on what hierarchy I'm pointing to. So that hierarchy can be dynamic, but it can also be fixed. However, if I make it smaller now, it will just adjust and show 3 rows or 3 columns for an iPad, for example. If I'm on a phone, it just makes it 2 columns, or 1 column in this case, and then I can scroll up and down to get to the other column. So this is a different application, the presenter application, and that's something, the presenter app is something that is new in update 1. And it allows you also to navigate. So if the operator wants to figure out here which tank to fill, like this one, fill OK, you can click on it and it will take them right away to the tank. So that's new in update 1. The other part that is new in update 1 is actually, let me go back to mixing here, because that is a little bit clearer to see. Mixing 3. When you go to the trend application, so you go to Insight, and you will see Insight on-prem, same as the online version, now has the indication of what went into alarm at a certain point. So you can actually drill down into this, and too many events. So if let me make this bigger so you guys can see. I probably took the wrong tank. Yeah, mixing 3 is crazy. 2 is slower. Let me go to that one and pull that Insight trend up, because that will be easier to see. So here you can see when this pulls up, you basically have events, these little dots. There's a bug in the system, but when we release, actually when you zoom in, there will be cards that are showing. It will actually show you what went into alarm on that particular chart, and it will indicate it in colors as well. So you can see here, the purple is severity 4, and then it went to a severity 2, and then it went back to a severity 4. So everything will be on this line. Set point changes, alarms, when it return to normal, with the time annotations and with the alarm annotation on it, because it's all coming from one database. You do have to set everything up for history blocks, but I mean that should be standard with 2017, not using the A2LAMDB. By default, we install with history blocks now in 2017, so that should be already set up in your system. And then you get this out of the box. So in update 1, there's some stuff missing here, and this will be corrected by the time we get to the RC next week. Then I have the alarm adorners, of course, here in the indications. You also have them on in navigation, where you can see them. In runtime, you can also switch them on and off, as I already showed you here. So you can switch them on and off. You can do that per session in a view app. A operator can do that. You can also do that in the Galaxy by configuring here alarms and events. There is new UI here. to switch it on and off for all view apps. So that was the addition that we did to the alarm aggregation feature to show unact, act, and return to normal in different counters, and that's automatically built in to the system, and you can switch those counters on and off in runtime to display that information or not. For the map, for the demo, right now it's the same. It's the OpenStreetMaps. However, we do support now Google, so you can put Google Maps in if you get your own key, development key. Bing Maps was already supported. There is more Esri support and more and support for XY tiles, as well as dynamic assets. So you can do dynamic assets as well. But for the demo itself, this has not changed. What does work in here now is 4K on every web control, and basically the ability to touch it. So if I had a touch monitor, I could show it to you, but you can touch it and you can rotate the map. You can pan and zoom into the map with your fingers. So on all the inside chart control, this one, everywhere, multi-touch is now working on web parts. So that was not working before update 1, that's working now. So if you want to zoom into web controls, that's not a problem. So that's built in. The other part that is not blocked anymore is support for 4K. So this is 2K. Normally it would have screamed at me already that I'm exceeding 2K. I'm exceeding 2K at this point. And then normally I would have had a message that it can't, that you can't do that, and it would block out this control. So that restriction has been removed as well. So now you can run on a 4K big screen with the control room application. Of course, in the runtime, we give you the control room application as well. I know a lot of you have been using that on your shows. So that's still completely usable. So I showed you the alarms and trends. This is SharePoint integration if you want to do SharePoint. The other apps are all in the demo as well. RDP, YouTube, Media Player, and all that. Alarm Advisor. And a symbol list, which brings up KPIs. The Z order issue was fixed. Before, if you had a sliding pane, it would slide under the web control or under the control. So that has been fixed. So you can get to your web control, or you can get to your UI stuff without actually having to close the web control off. Before, you couldn't do that. The historical playback, as I said, has been updated. So the UI, thanks to John, the UI has been updated for that one. So I'm going to show you SA demos and dashboard and put that in playback. So when you put something in playback now, basically you can see the time better, right? So it shows you properly the time here. At this point, it goes red when the machine was not running. So it was running back there. Let's see, somewhere here it should be on. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so then I hit play, and at that point this goes yellow to indicate that we're at playback, and then you can just hit the playback speed. So the playback speed won't be visible until you hit play. There was another change in this particular graphic. Because it's just an orchestra graphic, it's nothing special. The title bar app itself, functionality-wise, you have login, of course, here. I can bring up the login menu. You can switch user. The other things that are in here are language, so English, screen. I think I have, if you add to the Galaxy Dutch and German, I actually have translations for Dutch and German for the storage tanks. So you can do that one. The keyboard has changed. There are two keyboards in Windows 10. One is the on-screen keyboard, and one is the keyboard that can come up like this. So that's the OS keyboard, and now we're launching the native touch OS keyboard that has things like spell check and stuff like that. So that's the one thing that changed here. We're basically launching a different keyboard. You saw the UI and UX for the tree controls. That is not completely finished, the Adorno feature. That will be finished next week. We're still punching code. So I think that's pretty much it out of a runtime perspective. the new things to show to customers. The big things are presenter app, other map applications, the dark theme, of course, everything. One of the reasons why the dark theme is to make sure that all the apps and controls are skinnable. The only place where I don't have that right now is on the tabs. That's kind of unfortunate, but that's probably might have hopefully a patch for that at some point. But right now the tabs show in black text. There's no way I can change that one. But everything else is skinnable in this application. So nav, breadcrumb, hamburger menu, title bar, all these different colors are you can set them up in the apps and basically use it as such. In the demo itself, the clutter declutter was fixed. Here now we have the proper animations. And when I go one more closer, it's basically showing the tank levels and stuff. So that particular clutter declutter function is now in here. The other part is the tanks. You don't have to start them anymore. The David Bell wrote a script for that, and I put that into the system. So this will automatically show, or it basically will automatically run. You don't have to do nothing. You can do something if you want. You can empty the tank and things like that, but typically you don't have to touch this. Anything orange is manual. You can select that and you can open and close these valves, right? So if you want to show customer and set it to manual and open and close that, you can open and close. The graphics, all the system graphics symbols, they're all stripped from any background graphics that they might have had. So they're all on an empty canvas, on an alignment canvas that is not visible in runtime, but they are all basically plain. The only thing that have panels, background panels, this is the background color, basically are things like the faceplates and the things that are here in Paris. For the assets, we also have, of course, the asset demos are in here, and you can take a look at those. Also here, the faceplate have been updated, so basically stripped of their settings and things like that. So it became it's a lot nicer now, a lot cleaner, and they also look fine and if you go to a white theme, for example. Okay, so that was pretty much the new functionality added to the demo application runtime that you can use. Here the energy consumption, I still need to randomize this a little bit more. So these are indeed 24 different ones. They're just to have all the same data. So I'm going to post this, and I will also make a configuration one showing you how to configure some of these new apps that are in here, how to use some of the new features, how to set them up. We'll do that tomorrow and post it as well. Thank you.